All right, we're back to the Sicha of the Rebbe that the Rebbe said on Parshas Tzav, Tafshin Nun Aleph. What is it here? Parshas from the Sicha of Parshas Tzav was Shabbos Agadol on Tafshin Nun Aleph. Tafshin Nun 1991. Huh? Yes. So we said, and the Rebbe is talking about Shabbat HaGadol, and also the idea of Pesach, and the whole thing of miracles. And that Nisan has two nuns in it, which shows on double miracles. And one of the biggest miracles of all was when the firstborn were informed that there was going to be a plague and that they were going to be killed. So the firstborn went and made a war against Paro. And that's where we get this sentence. That's another one of the meanings of Make Mitzrayim Bibechorehem. That Egypt was smitten by means of their firstborn. The firstborn Egyptians smote the army. They made a war. And this is a big miracle. So the Rebbe says, what was a big miracle? What is such an amazing miracle? So there was a revolution. You know, the revolutions happen all the time. What was such a big miracle about this, to the point where even this Shabbat, the first time when it happened on Shabbat. So from then, generation after generation, we remind ourselves of this miracle, and we even call this Shabbat the Big Shabbat, because there's such a big miracle that happened that the firstborn made a war. Okay, one of the things about going out of Egypt is Moses, right? Moses. Let's just put the question that we had about the firstborn aside. Like we learned in the Hasidut class just now, one of the star, the big character, the main protagonist of going out of Egypt was Moses, Moshe. Moshe, he took the Jews out of Egypt. And Moshe didn't want to. He didn't want to do it, to the point where God had to convince him at the burning bush. It said that for 1 full week, God spoke to Moshe at the burning bush. And finally, after the end, Moshe said, listen, God, I'm not convinced, you're making a big mistake by sending me. I'm just going to mess the whole thing up. Send somebody else, please. And God didn't accept it. And so Moshe has some deep connection, even deeper than his own personality, because he didn't want to go. And that's why it says that Moses, he's the first redeemer and he'll be the last redeemer. Even though the Moshiach is going to come from the tribe of Judah, and Moses, of course, came to the tribe of Levi, but nevertheless, his power, his personage, somehow or other, is going to be the one that's going to bring the future redemption. The final redemption, the first redemption going out of Egypt, that was just the source. He opened up the pipe for this future redemption that's going to be by means of Moshe. And again, we can't stress too much that this future redemption is two total opposites. On one hand, it depends on us, and on the other hand, it's going to be miracles, unexpected miracles, things that we could never possibly prepare ourselves for. Will be amazing miracles that have never been anything even vaguely like it. The world will be more perfect than it was when God created it before Adam ate from the tree. So let's see this. The whole purpose of leaving Egypt was that God took the Jewish people to be a nation, his nation, and that everyone should know that I am God, your God, and I took you out of Egypt. And also, like we say in the first of the 10 Commandments, I am God that took you out of Egypt. In other words, the revelation of God below, was in order that the Jewish people, as they are in the world, should know and they should see and they should recognize and be aware of God. And they should accept on themselves. And afterwards, when they left Egypt, and also afterwards when they got the Torah and the commandments of God. So the Torah and the commandments is of utmost importance. That's the central point of this whole thing of going out of Egypt and the creation of the world, is the Torah and the commandments. The Torah and commandments, so to speak, are not part of the world. The world is part of the Torah and commandments, but it doesn't seem that way. Right? That's what we said in the previous mimer. We said that the world conceals over God. Al Yedei Avoda, by means of our service, to reveal godliness in a permanent way in our day-to-day life, according like it was in the holy temple, make the whole world a holy temple. Like it says, make me a mishkan, make me a mikdash, make me a holy place, and I will dwell in you. And that it should be not just as it was in Mount Sinai, or even if it was before Adam ate from the tree, only temporary. It should be set like it was in the first temple and the second temple. And ultimately, it will be really set in the third temple. Like it says, the third temple, God is going to make it. It's going to come from heaven. And it's going to be eternal. How this is going to be another miracle. This will be, the Jewish people actually believe this. This is actually reality, the goal of Judaism, and even more. The Maimonides says that any Jew that doesn't believe in this and wait for it to happen is denying the whole Torah. In other words, it's not just, there's one group that believes in Moshiach and another group doesn't believe. If you don't believe this, then you deny the whole Torah. The GEULA amitit v'shlema of a complete redemption, and by means of this, also to reveal godliness in the world in such a way that it will, the complete way that the whole entire world, all humanity, will recognize and know godliness. This is where we finished yesterday. The glory of God will be revealed, and all flesh will see together. We say it 3 times a day on Aleinu. Yakiru v'yeru kol yishvei tevel. This is the reason why the going out of Egypt depended on miracles and wonders. Why? I mean, it didn't really have to be that way. It could have been that Paro could have just, Moses should have said, listen, God sent me, let my people go. And Paro could have said, okay, you know what, take off. We really hold individual freedom to be a very, very valuable thing here in Egypt. And you got a good point, Moses. We'll let you go. And you know what? We'll even give you a little bit reparations, okay? I mean, we're strong. It could have been that way. God could have just if Paro ruled the whole thing, whatever he said would have gone. So God could have just put it in Paro's mind to say to Moses, listen, I'll let you go, but listen, are you sure my name is going to be in the Torah? Paro. It's going to be written there, Paro. Spell it right, okay? But I'm going to be the one that let the Jews go, okay? Good. Why couldn't it be that way? It could have been that way. You know what? I'll have my army escort you. The desert is a dangerous place. There's all sorts of scorpions, and you people don't know how to travel in the desert. Come on, you've been slaves for 200 years, and I apologize for that, but I'll let you all go, and my army will escort you. We'll make a big bridge over the Yam Suf, and you'll all go over, right? Pontoons, you'll go over there. Why couldn't it have been that way? Why not? Why there had to be plagues and this? Why? So the reason that the going out of Egypt had to be by means of miracles was because only by means of miracles, which are above nature, would be revealed to everyone the power of God. If the Jews would have left, they would have said, Paro, you're such a swell, wonderful guy. Paro, wow, we'll never forget you, really. And we're going to come back to visit. We'll visit, we'll write all the time. Right? Send you pictures, right? And then we'll work together, us and you. Who knows what's going on? Well, it could have happened that way, but then nobody would know about God. Shiakiru begila kodesh baruch hu. The whole thing of going out of Egypt with miracles was to know God, to know that God is He's the owner and the creator of nature of the world. And therefore, God has the power to do miracles which are above nature, or even miracles that change nature. Like it says, like we said, what is world? change the nature of the world, as we just learned in the Mimer. What is world? The word world comes from concealment, helem. That nature, like we said, nature, which means to be sunk in the sea, covers over the fact that God is creating it, right? Like we said last time, if a person loses a diamond in a river, it's finished. You're never going to find it. Maybe you could scrape it or something and dredge the river. But if you look down, you can't see anything. The river covers over everything that's in it, especially if it's a murky river. This world is like a big murky river, and it conceals the godliness inside of it. And that's what it means, helem. And teva. Teva is from the language of to be sunk. Tavua. Tov obayam. When God took the Jews out of Egypt, took them out of nature, and he introduced himself to them. This gives power to the Jewish people that they saw these big miracles, that by them will be GEULA, a redemption, cherus me'amatzorim, namely freedom from all the limitations of the world, uma she'avud, uma she'avod v'lahanachot. I'm sorry, I read it wrong. Umeha shibud, and from the imprisonment. Shibud means imprisonment, servitude. That we're now imprisoned and we are slaves. Lahanachot olam, to the assumptions of the world. Umina avodos shel Mitzrayim, and the avdus and the servitude in Egypt, which we said the whole idea of Egypt is, right, nothing against the country of Egypt. The word Egypt means limitations and boundaries. That the world presents to us certain limitations and boundaries that we think that this is really reality. And especially in exile, when we forget totally who we are, we forget what a Jew is. This begins from, first of all, the first time it happened was actually the birth of the Jewish nation was in exile, when they were in Egypt. They were born slaves. And suddenly the Jews became a new thing that they never experienced before, right? They were born slaves. Their father was a slave. Their grandfather was a great 4 generations of slaves. That a Jew was synonymous with slave. True freedom from all limitations. You can really be who you are. Including all limitations from nature. Even limitations of miracles that are in nature, like it was in Purim. In other words, we'll see that everything is a tremendous miracle. If, let's say, God would have if Paro would have let the Jews go, he said, okay, you know what? Okay, I'll let you go. I'm sorry, I made a big mistake. 210 years, I want to make reparations for what my previous ancestors did. We're going to pull down all the statues of the old Paros, right? We're going to we're going to let all the Jews go. So if they would do that, then it would be a miracle, something like it was in Purim. We'd have to think about it, how it was really a miracle, how really God happened. It was really from God. So the good thing about Purim is that it was in the physical world. You could see everything was understandable. And therefore, there was great happiness when the Jews got out. And they realized it was from God. When they left Egypt, they realized it was from God, but they weren't so very happy, right? They weren't very happy when they crossed the Yam Suf, but they were complaining the whole time because it wasn't internalized. Like it will, this is how it's, but in the future redemption, the Gemula Amitit Vashlema, in the complete future redemption, when it will be, like it says, like the days of Egypt, going out of Egypt, I will show you even bigger miracles that are even higher than any nature, even higher than the miracles of going out of Egypt. And even more miracles that are that they'll be considered to be miracles in regard to going out of Egypt. What does it mean? That what the miracles weren't going out of Egypt, we'll say that was just natural. There was no. Right? We'll believe that there were such miracles, and we'll say, but that's not a miracle. I'll show you a miracle. Right? It's like, let's say a person he shows, I want to show you how strong I am. He takes one hand and he lifts up a whole car. Right? car. Another person says, that's a miracle, I'll show you. He takes one hand and he lifts up the whole city of New York. That's ridiculous. You can't do a thing like that. He says, well, okay, but you'll admit that I'm stronger than the guy who lifted up the car? There's no comparison. What are you talking? That's what it's going to be. Going out of Egypt was like lifting up a truck. And the future redemption is lifting up the whole entire creation. Everyone will see. Everyone will see. God Himself will show everyone. Then will be revealed everything. Whether things that are revealed, whether things that up to now have been concealed, everyone will see the truth and the innerness of what really nature is. How amazingly fantastic is how the stars move in the sky, and we'll see that it's all godly. Usually people are used to be this is the big fault of the church, right? That they knocked down that it was forbidden to think other thoughts, right? That they burned these people in the stake because they said that the earth goes around the sun, whatever. And Judaism welcomes other thoughts, have other thoughts, but let's prove it. Let's see exactly the opposite, the godliness that's in it. Then it becomes even more amazing. Not only does the earth go around the sun or the sun goes around the earth, whatever, but why? Why is it going around? What can we learn from time? What can we learn from space? What can we learn from the fact that there is a moon and there is a sun? Everything will present to us messages of how to be more, appreciate the mystery of life. As soon as life stops being a mystery, then everything becomes boring. People take drugs, they go crazy. Hashlem was v'hanagas nisim. This is the completion, the ultimate level of miracles will be revealed. Ad gam zeh shehu lagamri nifla. Until it'll be our niflaot, that God will show miracles that will be true miracles, not like the ones that we left Egypt with. Those were just practice miracles, beginner miracles. They say miracles for dummies. The big miracles will be in the future. Then we ourselves will change. The power to make this actually happen in a way that's above understanding, will be understandable. The essence of God will be revealed even greater than it was in going out of Egypt. This ability to do this comes only by means of Moshe. In our case, we're talking about the Rebbe. Moshe, that was the redeemer of the Jewish people. And we're going to explain this, how necessary Moses is. Humans that we can understand by the novelty what Moses is. Who is this Moshe? Moshe is something, the person, Moshe, this is something like the future redemption. In him, we can see what the future redemption is. And therefore, the redemption comes by means of Moshe. Kafi, like Shemit Bateh, Sefer Tehillim, like it says in the book Sefer Tehillim, in Psalm number 90, Tzaddik, that we start to say it now, and this is what the Rebbe said, and this is his birthday is, what is his, it was in his 89th birthday, so you start to say the 90th, because he was going into his 90th year. What does it say? Tefillah l'Moshe Isha Elokim. It says over there, this is a prayer to Moses, Ish o Elokim, the man God. Ish o Elokim. They translate the man of God. But Ish o Elokim, and you can translate that. And it ends up by saying, Yehi Noam Hashem Elokeinu, that the pleasantness of God should be Anas Umasi Adenu Konani Aleinu, and the deeds, what we do, should be permanent. And our deeds should make God permanent, should make a foundation for God. So what does it start off? It starts off, first of all, with a big novelty. It says that Moses, Tefillah Moshe, this is the beginning of the 11 Psalms, and from up to now until Mizmor the David, that Moses himself said them. the 11 Psalms that Moses said. Now, Moses was before King David, like 500 years, something like that, 500 years, almost 600 years. 500 years before Moses. Shemizeh, moving from this is understood that this psalm expresses the whole content of the work and the service of Moshe. Tefillah Moshe, that's how it starts off. Tefillah Moshe, that's the 90th psalm. The prayer of Moses, the man God. Man of God. So this must be in the psalm, somehow or other, is summed up. What is the uniqueness of Moses and what he did to the Jewish people and to the world? Like the rabbis say, this psalm, Yehi Noam Hashem Elokeinu, which is the end of the psalm, this is a blessing of Moses to that the Shekhinah should be, that the Maaseh Yadenu, that our handwork should be founded. It means that it should be firm. It's talking about the Mishkan. It's talking about the tabernacle that Moses made. When he made this tabernacle, Omer Lemi said, Yehi Ratzon, may it be your will, God, Shetisra Shekhinah, that your presence should always rest on our handiwork. And that the pleasantness, the blessing of God should be on us. In other words, Zotameret, Shadavka Tefillat Moshe, specifically the prayer of Moshe. The prayer of Moses was what caused God's presence to be in the tabernacle. Often, in a way, the konan aleh, that it should be permanent, the kaviyut. The door of a door for all the generations. Until that would be what Shlemos in the third temple. In other words, the presence of God never left. The buildings might have gone away, but the presence of God was never left. And it says also the third temple, it's already ready. It's in heaven somewhere. I don't understand how it's going to be, but it must weigh millions and millions of tons. And somehow or other it's there. Kedivrei Chazal, like the rabbis say on the pasuk, Umaseh Yadenu Konaneu, like it says, the deeds of our handiwork should be permanent. Mekuven, this is talking about the third temple. Some people say that this refers to the third temple because the first and the second were ostensibly, they were destroyed, right? We explain it spiritually that God's presence is still there and that God just took it as a mashkon, he just took it as a surety that will serve him. But the third temple, in any case, is permanent. Sha'alav Omar, on this, God said, Latid Lavo, in the future, Ani Evneuto, I'm going to build it. Umashra Shechinati, and I will rest my Shekhinah, my godly presence in it. The Eino Charav La'olam, and it will never be destroyed forever. That's going to be the third temple. So now we're talking about Moses, the greatness of Moshe. What do we say? First of all, we talked about that the future redemption, that the redemption going out of Egypt was just a opening up of the door. It was just the beginning of the process, like the mimer that we're learning in the morning. The finish is going to be pure godliness revealed in the world everywhere, and it'll be a way that will be accepted to us. And this is all done by means of Moshe. Moshe Rabbeinu, he's the man of God, or the man God, and he's going to bring this revelation to be. This is the goal of Judaism. This is what every Jew really does believe down deep in his soul, whether he knows it or not. And this is what's going to happen. In fact, that the whole world will see it. The whole world should believe in it, but only the Jews are really obligated to believe it. And that this is going to be the whole purpose of the Torah and the commandments is to reveal pure godliness in the world, as we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow. Oh, just one moment. Okay. Good. And now we're going to learn Yom Yom. Okay. Jewish wealth Am I sharing this? Did you see this? Yeah. Yes. Jewish wealth is not having a lot of houses and a lot of money in the bank. That's a nice thing to have, but that's not Jewish wealth. That's wealth. Everlasting Jewish wealth is keeping the Torah and the commandments and bringing children and grandchildren who keep Torah mitzvahs, whether they're your own children or you teach others. Have a good day with Moshiach. Now, God willing, we're learning at 3 o'clock. We'll try to finish the laws of Passover, what the practical ones that are for the night of the Seder. Have a good day and hope to see you all. God bless you. Shalom u'bracha.